I've just watched this video about Birmingham. I will put the link in the description. I guess I just want to have a talk about it. Yeah, Birmingham's definitely getting worse and worse, and yeah, I have got a bus pass recently. I've not used the bus ever because I don't like using the buses in Birmingham. The bus that goes closest to me, it's only about it takes about 15 minutes on the bus to get into town, but it does kind of like a bit of a loop, and I can cycle to town quicker. If my mum was to get onto the bus and I was to take the bike, I would get home before her. And also, the bus stop is about a 4 minute walk on this side. And so, if I go to the spa, it's really annoying because I have to walk 4 minutes to the bus stop. And because I've noticed that I don't usually get anxiety, but then I'm thinking I'm not usually in a position where I would feel anxiety. It takes 25 minutes to cycle there to the spa by bike. And I know that if I leave at 4 o'clock, I will get there at 25 minutes past. Sometimes I even get there at 20 minutes past if I can cycle fast, but usually it's 25 past. But even if I'm 5 minutes late, I'll still get there, no anxiety. But when you're going by a bus, and once I didn't want to feel this anxiety, so I went to the bus stop 10 minutes earlier, only to find that just as I was arriving at the bus stop, well, about a minute away, I saw a bus coming, so I kind of ran for the bus and got on it, but I was a bit confused because it was like, I'm 10 minutes early, so why is the bus here? And it turned out that the one beforehand was 20 minutes late. They come every 20 minutes, but for some reason, every time I look on my phone to find out when the next bus is, it usually says 23 minutes. So, yeah, I don't know really when they come, and I think if they come within the next 3-4 minutes, it won't count it as part of the minute. Because there was one time when I was coming back from the park last week, and it said that the next bus was 25 minutes, and I was like, but I thought they go over. It was only about 3 o'clock, so I was like, well, I thought they go every 20 minutes, so why is it saying 25 minutes? Anyway, I waited 5 minutes thinking that maybe one was just delayed or something. Nothing came. I went into a shop, and then as I coming out of the shop, I saw it coming, but it was basically across the road, so I had to literally just run across the road. And even just a small run across the road, I'm pouting. I don't know, but my health is really bad, and I don't think I've noticed how bad my health is. Why? Because I've never had to run for something, and a couple of times I found myself running for a bus, and even though it's a very short run, I'm just like out of breath completely. And like I think if you're running for a marathon, you have to do lots of training to run for a marathon. Now I'm okay with cycling. For some reason I can cycle half an hour and I don't feel any problems with that. But maybe that's just because I'm used to cycling, hence I've kind of built up a sort of immunity to it. But yeah, running I cannot do. I have not really run for stuff. I don't know if I should continue trying to use the bus and just accept that I'm probably going to end up running for the bus because I've got there. I don't know, the bus is either 10 minutes late or I don't know. I know I came back from the spa Friday, and it took me 20 minutes to get to the bus stop. I thought it was going every half an hour, but it actually goes every half an hour after 7 o'clock. But according to the times, it's actually before 7 o'clock, it's every 20 minutes. So I was trying to I thought it was every half an hour though, because I didn't know what time the thing went through. Sometimes it goes every 20 minutes, sometimes it goes every half an hour, and I didn't know what hour it was, but I thought it was at 6:30, and I left the spa at 10 past, and then walked to the tram. That area is nice. The way the spa area is actually quite nice. That's not too bad. It's safe to leave your bike there. There are some areas where it's safe, like you can leave your bike on the main high street, because there's lots of bikes there, but up near the top where you get on the tram, you can't leave your bike there. Why? Because I've never seen any bike. I think it's a bad sign when there's an area and there's no bikes on the bike park. That's a sign that you shouldn't leave your bike there. And I have had a bike stolen. That was on the high street, but I left it there overnight because I was going somewhere for a day, and I came back the next day and the bike was gone. So yeah, I know you should not leave it anywhere in Birmingham during night time. During the day though, I don't know. Some places might be safe. I think on the high street it might be safe. But yeah, for me to get to the high street, I have to go down, and it's I think it's just easier just to cycle there because. But I don't know. I just when I was coming back, it's supposed to be a 10-minute cycle. But yeah, being on a tram. and you see the kind of there's a lot of drunks. There are women out there. I think if there was no women on the streets, that would be far worse for me. To be in walking through town, and if I saw no women, I would be very concerned. And that we're not at that stage yet. So that there are a lot of women on the street, so it's not like hugely bad. But yeah, there are loads of gangs and loads of sort of people wearing hoodies who look like they're from the boats. And I think this video that I found really does show that. I mean, there was one that had a grey shirt and looked like he was going to talk, but he couldn't say where he was from, and then he kind of just walked away in shame or something. I don't know why Islamic people hate being filmed, but it's almost like they know they're guilty of something, hence they don't want to be seen as being filmed in case they get accused of being something. Or maybe they know that they're doing things wrong. If you're someone who's lived a life of crime, or if you're someone who does go into shops and start stealing things, you don't want your face being on a video thing. So I feel like this whole there's a whole like attitude about, I don't want to be filmed, don't put my face online. They might say it's there for their privacy or their protection, but I feel like subconsciously there must be a whole group of people that don't want to be filmed because they know that they've been stealing, or they've been maybe having sex with underage kids or something, and they don't want their face online in case someone sees them and being like, oh yeah, that was the guy who raped me, or that was the guy who stole from the shop. They don't want to be recognized, and I feel like that's the real reason why a lot of people don't want to be filmed. And maybe there's an element of thinking that this is like the devil's material that made this. I don't know, there might be some religious aspect to it, but there's a lot of people in Birmingham that do not want to be filmed. I can understand the homelessness. If you've been homeless for 2 years, you don't want almost people to film your shame. Yes, I'm down on my dumps, yes, down in the dumps, and I don't have a proper home, and I don't want to be filmed. I can kind of understand that and understand the homelessness thing, but just gangs of Arab or Islamic or Middle Eastern looking men just not wanting to be filmed, or getting aggressive. Why are you filming me? I wouldn't film in these areas, but I wanted someone to film, and I found a footage last week or 2 weeks ago of that, and I found another one today. But I think when you see it at night, when you see what Birmingham looks like at night, everything really does change. I guess that there's a possibility that I can change my times and just if I leave at like 12 and get back at 4 or something, that way I can cycle there and back in the daylight. But I don't know. I don't need to do that. So long as there's women in the centre, I don't feel too bad. But I would prefer to definitely be back by 8 or something. But yeah, I just don't know. Yeah. I'm posting a lot of terrible stuff online, and I guess if it's good for you to look at this, because you can kind of know what I'm going through, and also know that this wasn't like it. Birmingham was not like this 3, 4, 5 years ago. Before COVID, it was not like this. Before COVID, there was a lot of younger people, a lot of kids, and if you look and notice that most people just dress in black. Lots of people dress in black, and just have this sort of gangster or hostile kind of look, like you're filming me. Obviously, this is for a bad intention, and okay, a lot of it is for a bad intention. There was one guy who was saying how the problem is white people, and yet he was filming in an area where there was like next to no white people. So why is the problem white people when there's next to no white people here? And when you said it was better years, 3, 4 years ago, and well, when there were probably a lot more white people back then. I know a lot of white people have moved out of the area because they don't feel safe. It's safe in these areas. I wouldn't, and I have heard people moving because they don't feel safe. And I'm not at that age yet. I think both of these people were in the 60s. But yeah.